Welcome back to ECA Tech. So today I want to share 3 tips about dependency injection that will hopefully make this concept a little easier to wrap your head around. Whether you're working with a framework like Spring.NET or just trying to get a better handle on DI in general, these tips should help you get the most out of it. Let's dive in. Tip number 1, focus on interfaces, not concrete implementations. This is probably the most fundamental piece of advice for working with dependency injection. When you're designing your classes, try to depend on abstractions like interfaces or abstract classes rather than specific implementations. Why? Because this gives you flexibility. If you tie your class to an implementation, you're stuck with it. But if you use an interface, you can easily swap out different implementations without changing the class that depends on it. This makes your code more modular, testable, and easier to maintain. Tip number 2, don't overuse dependency injection. It's super tempting to inject every little thing, but that's not always the best approach. When you're designing your system, ask yourself, does this class really need to know about all these dependencies? It's easy to fall into the trap of injecting things just because you can, but that can lead to bloated constructors and classes that are hard to understand. Only inject what's absolutely necessary. If you can use a simpler approach, like creating a single service that wraps a group of related services, go for it. Keep your code clean and simple. Finally, tip number 3, prefer constructor injection over setter injection. Here's why. Constructor injection makes the dependencies explicit at the time of object creation, which helps with clarity and ensures that the object is fully initialized. With setter injection, it's easy to forget to call the setter method, which might leave your object in an incomplete or invalid state. Plus, constructor injection tends to be more testable because it's easier to mock dependencies when you're creating an object through the constructor. So unless there's a really good reason for using setters, go with constructors to keep things clean and predictable. So there you go. 3 quick tips to help you get better at using dependency injection. Focus on interfaces, don't overuse it, and prefer constructor injection. Hopefully this makes the whole DI thing a little clearer. Thanks for watching, and as always, feel free to ask any questions in the comments.